whole disaster. When you look at him with his antics, not good. And for the Democrats to have backed him, this was not the man from Maryland, this wonderful father from Maryland. This is a pretty bad guy.
And President Trump weighing in on the return to U.S. soil of an alleged MS-13 gang member. Only hours after he was brought back, the Justice Department indicting him in a Tennessee courtroom on charges of human smuggling and conspiracy. Madison Scarpino live in Nashville with more. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Dana. The high-profile illegal immigrant, the Maryland man, the Salvadorian man, we've been hearing about him for months. Well, he's now reportedly in a Tennessee jail about 70 miles from here in Nashville. We're expecting him back here in this federal courthouse on Friday, and this all comes after months of legal and political battles over his deportation. The newly unsealed indictment lays out several allegations against Abrego Garcia over almost a decade. It accuses him of smuggling thousands of illegal immigrants across the U.S., including children and violent MS-13 gang members. It also accuses him of participating in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. The Trump administration has long accused the illegal immigrant of having gang ties and just being a dangerous man. But Abrego Garcia's defense attorney says the new charges are preposterous and an abuse of power. Abrego Garcia's deportation also led to many on the left demanding his return and due process. Senator Chris Van Hollen even went to visit Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, and he calls his return to the U.S. a victory. But former acting ICE director Jonathan Fahey doesn't see it that way.
It really is surprising, and it's interesting how the left has certainly changed their tune, particularly Senator Van Hollen, because he's saying really it was just a due process issue that he was interested in. They were talking about a family man. So they were not talking about him in the terms of due process. They were talking about him as a constituent.
Again, we're expecting Abrego Garcia to be back here in Nashville in this federal courthouse on Friday. That is for his arraignment and also a detention hearing. Dana.
All right, important story, and Madison is on it. Thank you.
Carrie Urbahn, Fox News legal editor. Carrie, good morning to you. Van Hollen went there. Here he is on Friday declaring, he used the word victory. Watch.
This is a victory for due process. It's a victory for the Constitution. It should not have taken this long. I mean, as you indicated, the Trump administration dragged its feet for a very long time, ignored a 9-0 order from the Supreme Court. But it's important that Abrego Garcia now come home and have his due process rights upheld in a court of law.
Okay, I want to get your view on all that. You got the sealed indictment charging him with alien smuggling, among other things. The Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper in 2022, on that body cam video, it seems rather apparent that not a lot of people in that car had identification, or maybe not even a driver's license, and they were allowed to proceed. Why, I don't know. How strong is this case, do you believe, on its face?
Yeah, I have the same question about how did this massive smuggling operation go on for 9 years and no one ever picked up on it. What DOJ alleged on Friday indicates that Mr. Garcia is a major smuggler of children, of guns, of illegal migrants, of women who he apparently abused sometimes. And so, look, I would say this, Bill, this is a massive win for the Trump administration, the court of public opinion, because it really makes their case that he's not just the bad guy we were telling you about, he's even worse than we even realized. It makes the Democrats look like fools. And secondly, legally speaking, it gets them out of a messy situation because they were going to have to contend with where he should be over that deportation issue, because the Supreme Court had said that the government needed to facilitate his release from custody in order to deal with his deportation. And had he not been, quote, inappropriately removed, there was no way they were going to avoid that. Now they have the best of both worlds. They've brought him back. They're going to try him on these terrible charges. And then they're going to deal with the deportation aspect once they get to that.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add,
case is done with.
Troopers found $1,400 in cash and flagged him on the National Crime Information Center, which returned a gang terrorism alert. They called ICE, and ICE never responded. I bear in mind that was 2022. we had a different president then, so we'll see where that case is picked up now. To California, Gavin Newsom says what President Trump is doing with regard to the National Guard is unconstitutional. Roll it.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions. He's, lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard. An illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act, and we're going to test that theory with a lawsuit tomorrow.
Carrie, what do we need to understand about this?
Right. And just like Joe Biden wasn't suffering a decline that we could all see with our own eyes, it's the Trump administration that's the problem. Look, the number one priority of any U.S. president is to keep Americans safe. That's also supposed to be the priority of the governor. So what happens when a governor of his or her state doesn't do that? Well, the first line of defense the U.S. government has is the National Guard, which is what the Trump administration did here. Now, as we know, Governor Newsom is resisting that. So what the Trump administration could do, and there's going to be a lot of conversation about that, I think, both publicly and I'm sure it's happening right now behind the scenes, is invoking the Insurrection Act, which allows the United States government to send in military when there's an obstruction happening of federal law enforcement with or without the state's consent. So I think that may be where this is headed if this doesn't quiet down.
Okay, Carrie, more to come on this. Nice to see you on a Monday morning, helping us get through it. Carrie Urbahn, thanks.
Good to see you.
All right, you too.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.